Scott Hall versus Razor Ramon. We got action. This is Tables, Ladders, and Chill 1v1. I am the Archie Carter. He is FTZ, and today we got a good one. We got Scott Hall versus Razor Ramon. And representing Scott Hall is the Archie Carter. Representing Razor Ramon, my guy, FTZ. We just gonna drop facts and decide which character was better. Was it Scott Hall or was it Razor Ramon? FTZ representing Razor Ramon. Tell the people, and especially you, why you think Razor Ramon was a better character than Scott Hall.
Growing up as a kid, for me and still to this day, Razor Ramon, by far, by far, top 10 greatest characters in wrestling history. He played that character so well. I didn't even know the man was white, to be honest with you. I didn't. The accent, the aura, the slick hair, the gold around his neck, throughout his whole career, the Intercontinental title around his waist. He was just so cool. So cool. He was actually the first bad guy for me that made it okay to be cool. You couldn't help but to cheer for him. When Razor Ramon was a heel when he first started out in the WWF, I didn't boo him. I never booed Razor Ramon. The only time I ever went against Razor Ramon was when he faced my hero, Shawn Michaels. I remember Royal Rumble 1993. It was a WWF Championship match. He was the challenger going up against Bret the Hitman Hart. I remember getting the VHS from Blockbuster, or maybe it was a VHS that my dad had recorded, and I just remember watching that tape. And I remember the first time watching it, I wanted Razor Ramon to win so bad. I wanted him to win so bad. It still to this day hurts me that he's never touched the WWF Championship. A title that he should have just touched it one time at least. The man, from his classic matches with Shawn Michaels, the ladder match, which didn't involve no tables, nothing so crazy, but it still lives up to be the best ladder match of all time for me. He put over the 1-2-3 kid, made him like $1,000,000. A guy who was, I guess he was a jobber at first. Put him over, it skyrocketed Sean Waltman's career. Razor Ramon goes down in history, one of the greatest Intercontinental champions ever, one of the greatest personas ever. He took bits and pieces from Scarface, the character Tony Montana, brought it to Vince McMahon. Vince McMahon didn't even know who Scarface was. He'd never seen the movie. Never seen the movie. Vince believed in it. He let him do his thing. The toothpick thrown at his opponent's face, taking off his gold, telling the referee if something happens to this gold, something's going to happen to you, Chico. Scott Hall, to me, is Razor Ramon. He took that, and it was the same character to me. But Razor Ramon, it's a crime that he's never won the WWF Championship. It's a crime that he's never even been in the Royal Rumble match. He had classic matches with Jeff Jarrett, Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, even Diesel, Owen Hart, Yokozuna. Could you imagine back in 1995 if Razor Ramon was a WWF champion who he could have feuded with back then? It would have been amazing. For me, I'm sorry, man. One of the coolest personas ever in history, Razor Ramon. You can't tell me that Scott Hall was a better character than that.
You finished or is you done?
I'm done.
Listen, you said two things that I will agree with. Well, one is a statement and one is something I agree with. First of all, rest in peace to Blockbuster. If you never experienced Blockbuster on a Friday night,
Ooh.
hey, sucks to be you. And also, Scott Hall, yes, I'm gonna tell you why he's him. But Razor Ramon, you will never get an argument from me that Razor Ramon is the coolest wrestling gimmick and persona of all time. But here's why Scott Hall is better. And I prepared a statement. The reason Scott Hall was better than Razor Ramon is very simple. And it's kind of the flip side of what you said, FTZ. Razor Ramon was a character. Scott Hall was an experience. Don't get me wrong, Razor Ramon was him. And the Continental Champion, gold chains, toothpick, walk around, Chico, oozing my cheese mo. Every kid in the 90s was throwing imaginary toothpicks at their friends. But here's the problem. Razor Ramon was playing cool. Scott Hall was cool. And there's a difference. See, Razor Ramon walked into the room hoping everybody noticed him. Scott Hall walked into the room knowing they already had. That's why when he showed up in WCW through the crowd in 96, like he fresh out of a bar, borrowed somebody's microphone, wasn't supposed to be there, the wrestling business changed overnight. The man didn't even need a championship. I wish he had it though. Think about this. Scott Hall in WCW never won the WCW World Heavyweight Championship, not once. Somehow became one of the most important figures in WCW history. How? How, Archie? How that happen? Because championships tells you who the company likes. Presence tells you who the fans remember. Resume speaks for itself. Six-time WCW Tag Team Champion. Winner of World War III in 1997. Founding member of the NWO. One half of the Outsiders. One of the greatest tag teams ever. And he helped WCW dominate the Monday Night Wars. Perhaps his greatest accomplishment, making millions of wrestling fans think they could be cool while standing there with one hand in their pocket in a jean fit. Scott Hall had the looks and he owned the building. And that's the difference. Razor Ramon was a gimmick. Scott Hall was a Hall of Fame personality. And in this business, personality lasts longer than any championship ring. Because 30 years later, fans don't remember really what Scott Hall won. They remember how Scott Hall made them feel. And wrestling is an experience. It's a feeling. Like they were watching it's like you're watching the coolest guy in the room, and the coolest guy in the room knew he was the coolest guy in the room. Now, excuse me while I flick my imaginary toothpick at FTZ and tell him that Scott Hall was him. And it is a shame that he never won the big gold in WCW or WWF. But that's a testament to the man, Scott Hall, and both great legendary characters. I love Razor Ramon as a kid. I love what he did, everything he accomplished. But that Scott Hall in the NWO, that was a different thing. It was a different feeling. And you can't ignore the fact what he started when he said, "You know who I am, but you don't know why I'm here." He said, "A big man and a medium-sized man." This is where the big boys play. Listen, fantastic career all around. Loved him in WWF. Loved him even more in WCW. And y'all know me. This show is called Tables, Ladders, and Chill. It's a play on the NWO. It ain't a play on WWF and Razor Ramon. See what I'm saying? So even what you're doing today, FTZ, ain't because of Razor Ramon. It's because of Scott Hall, Chico. Got anything to say? Because we're going to take it to the chat. We got a 1-1 tie. So, chat, followers, fans, it's on you. You got to break the tie and tell us who you think wins this 1v1 between Scott Hall and Razor Ramon. FTZ, I'm going to let you take us home. What you got, brother?
All I want to say is rest in peace to that individual, man. I wish he was still here. He had a great mindset. He had the man. Man. I wish he was here today as a writer for WWE. Man, I know he would have some great ideas.
I
Um,
feel I didn't mean to cut you off, and I know I said I was gonna give it to you, but that's the one heartbreaking, the biggest heartbreak outside of him not winning the big gold is the fact that I never met him, saw what I saw on social media, but it seemed that he was trying to turn his life around and get the truck back on the track. I don't know what he had going on personally, but we've seen the videos, the not so flattering videos of him, his health, him starting to work with DDP and trying to get it back together. And it appeared that he was doing the right thing and right things to live a better, healthier life than ultimately, unfortunately, he passed away. And that's the biggest heartbreak outside of him not ever really being the face of the company. And but he was low key. He was on the cover of video games. He was in NWO, which was not only the face of the company but the face of wrestling. So he got his flowers, and I know that he knew he was the coolest wrestler ever, and that every wrestler got a little bit of Razor Ramon in them. Any
right.
remotely cool wrestler got a little bit of Razor Ramon and Scott Hall in them.
Rest in peace, Scott Hall.